Tareq, thank you so much for meeting me today. I appreciate you giving me the time to come and speak to you about your story. And I want to start the conversation today talking about where we're sat. Not only about being sat in Ahmadi, which for people that don't know is the center of oil and gas in Kuwait, but also this warehouse. So you can explain kind of the significance of what this warehouse means to you and kind of the history behind it, what it was and what it is today.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for inviting me to this podcast. It seems like a very exciting project from your side as well. So yeah, this is, I call this the lab. You know, this is where we cook. This is basically SPETCO's second office, one being in Shueikh, and this is the other one. We have this warehouse because it's closer to the client, which is KOC. And it's where I sit. It's where IT is. It's where HR is. It's where logistics is. And then on the other side, where you're sitting now, this used to be a workshop. KOC, usually when you have contracts, they assign you a workshop to maintain the equipment. Every now and then they'll come for an audit. So you need an actual workshop. So this was a place that I used to walk into and look at the pipes, the spools, the valves, the stacks, the racks, just all this machinery, and think, wow, one day I would love to just transform this place. I wasn't sure into what. And then I eventually transformed it into my own creative hub. So I guess we'll get into this a bit later, but I run a creative agency as well. So SPETCO obviously is my priority. It's what I've been doing for the last 15 years. It's a family business. And then in 2019, I took it upon myself to start this creative agency. And this is where we sit. So, there's left brain and right brain, so literally it's split in half. I spend my days on the SPETCO side, and then I kind of cross over with my team as well. So this is a place where we shoot a lot of our campaigns. As you can see, I love painting. We play basketball every Saturday. We had just played before you guys came. It's a magical place, really. Yeah.
And what does it represent for you in terms of the journey you've been on? Because we were just talking now about it being like a physical representation of your kind of double life in a way.
Yeah.
How do you kind of reflect on those two lives and how you kind of combine them together into one?
Yeah, it's a direct manifestation of what I'm all about. The industrial feel is my oil and gas life, and then all the paint is my passion for art and creativity. So this is really a place I never sought out to just say, okay, I'm gonna do this in this corner. It literally just manifested and happened. And ironically, we sit here today, an oil and gas podcast, but in a creative hub. So it worked out.
Yeah. No, and I wanted to kind of go back and understand your earliest context, because I think from watching your film Philosophy here a couple of weeks ago, you spoke about how important those early years were into who you are, and I think that's important for all of us. So what would I need to know about your earliest years to understand who you are and who you've become?
Okay, so only son in the family. I have a sister, and then my uncle, my dad has a brother. He has two girls. So immediate direct family, I'm the only boy.
Okay.
And we have a family business, a few family businesses, but I don't know. I always subconsciously knew that I had to be on top of it. I was the person who was going to eventually run it. And it happened. So I always had this in the back of my mind growing up in high school, all through university. But if I'm going to backtrack even more, because I was, I guess, the only boy, the first grandchild, the first grandson, I always had this a sense of independence. I was always on my own, mainly with my grandparents. There was more freedom there. I felt more independent there. So I guess it started from a very, very early age. Moving into, I would say, elementary school. I'm just, starting from the beginning. I went to a bilingual school.
Okay.
And then the Gulf War happened, 1991. And my mother's Singaporean, so I'm half Singaporean. I was born there. So during the Gulf War, those 2 years, we had moved to Singapore. So that was my first time in a country that, I was first exposed to like Western culture,
Okay.
Southeastern culture. It was a completely new world, a culture shock. I was only in the 4th grade, but it really had a big impact on me. It's where I was first introduced to, I'm a big sneaker guy, I was first introduced to basketball, to Michael Jordan. So those 2 years really played a big, big impact in my life. 2 years pass, and we go back to Kuwait, and I continue my education in an American school, a private American school, and that's why I grew a liking for hip hop music, for streetwear. Obviously, my love for basketball continued, in that American school. I was able to meet all different types of people who lived in Kuwait. The expats. I wasn't just exposed to the community, the local communities as well. So that was, in a nutshell, everything pre-university. I have to admit, I wasn't the best student. I never really, thought academics were the most important thing in my life. If you were to ask me, would I do anything different going back? I would say yes. I would want to kind of focus on or acknowledge where my talents were. Looking back, the perks of Ahmadi, this is gonna happen a few times. 18-wheelers, and so going back, I thought, if I were to do anything different, I would pay attention more to my talents. I would pay attention more to what I'm good at, and if I did that, I'd be able to realize where to go post high school. If I were to go back, I probably would have taken the path to probably the arts, design, even architecture. But I chose to go with business, and I'm extremely happy that I did that. Not the best student. I've embraced it. Ended up in Lebanon, in the American University of Beirut, studied business, continued my education in the UK. But prior to that, so I studied business with finance as the focus. And then my first job was actually at a Swiss bank in New York City. Private banking. That's when I realized this is great. It's the money is good. I'm meeting a lot of new people. I was in New York City. I was 21. But was it the profession I wanted to pursue and keep going? No, it wasn't really for me. I gave it another shot. Ended up in Switzerland, still with banking. Realized, wow, this is great. I'm meeting amazing people. Do I want to be around numbers? Do I want to be around these kind of people? Nothing wrong with them, but I felt something was missing. And then I ended up in London, HSBC, again, the same bank. Also banking, more on the marketing side, but it just wasn't my environment.
How many years was that period that you were like kind of going over this transformation, not realizing that maybe this wasn't the path?
Yeah, so 2003 up until 2006, those 3 years. 2007, I would say. So 4 years, I was just experimenting. Still didn't find my path. Still had no clue. So I would say, from 21 up until 25, I was, So I came back to Kuwait. I remember I spent the summer up here. I had no idea what I was doing. I was learning. I was around people who weren't as, I was around bankers and, all these Harvard grads and Ivy League people. And then all of a sudden I'm lifting my sleeves up and getting my hands dirty and learning about the oil and gas industry. But then again, I just didn't feel this was for me. That's when I decided to do my MBA. I said, let me do another year, and then while I'm out there, I'll just decide on where do I want to come back here? Do I want to stay in the West? I'm not sure. So 2008, I began the mental preparation of doing my MBA, and I did it. Spent 2 years at Brunel Business School in the UK.
Okay.
And then ended up back here in 2011, and that's when I started officially. I'll never forget the day, November 1st, 2011, my first official day at SPETCO.
2011.
Yeah.
And now we're 2025. That's 14 years.
Yeah.
And I think something you mentioned during when you were speaking just then is the idea of experimentation. During those years, you were experimenting, trying to see what works, what you like, what you don't. How important was that period of kind of uncertainty, not knowing actually what you really wanted to do, to then finding that things? I feel a lot of people don't experiment. They don't step into uncertainty. They don't look for that. They don't try to test themselves. How important was that kind of period of experimentation to fail, iterate, and just keep finding that path?
Extremely important. I mean, just to be honest, I was at a stage where it was so uncertain. I actually got into a bit of a dark place because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, it kept I tried this, didn't really work. Came back to Kuwait for a bit. Don't see myself there. Oil and gas industry, I don't know. Tried finance, not so sure. So, the whole thing, we're like, I don't really have a specific skill, I studied business, but, I studied finance. Do I want to be a financial analyst? Like, it was really an uncertain period where at some stage I was very uncertain. I was in a bit of a dark place because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I was in my mid-20s. But I just kept experimenting. Yeah, I just kept experimenting. Ended up here, and a lot has happened since.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about the power of reframing, because you say you're in that kind of dark place. You don't know where you're going, but and obviously one of your philosophies is no skill set, and that was kind of, I guess, your insecurity, but you managed to turn it into a strength. Yeah, into your power. And that's literally is the same words. Different way of looking at it, just a different frame. Yeah. How can someone do that? How did you do that?
I've embraced the fact that I'm not specialized in any specific skill. I've realized that through that, embracing that I'm actually I'm a visionary. And when I realized how much of a visionary I am, and how I'm able to keep succeeding with just this vision and no skill, actual skill. Yeah. I kept going. So to answer your question, I embraced it because I had no choice. I had no choice. I had to embrace it. I had to just believe in my vision and believe that, something special is happening up there. But then I haven't been able to do, most of my accomplishments came through the people I surrounded myself with. With SPETCO, from our operations guys to our CFO to our COO to our EVP, these are brilliant guys who helped execute these visions that not only I have, but my uncle, who's our chairman. So these are the guys who really, really brought our visions to the next level. And on the creative side, with my agency, OTB, I surround myself with extremely talented, skilled, whether it be the photographers, videographers, designers. But I make sure my vision is something they're on board with as well.
And I guess it's the idea of being an enabler, right? Yeah. You enable people to take their skills and give them the platform to go further and explore that and give that creativity, right?
Exactly. I guess, for the longest time, I've always been able to identify talent. I'll say, this guy, he's not so good at this, but he's brilliant at this. And I feel like it's my job for me to identify, and then I make sure they nurture it. Like, you're good at this, but you need to keep doing that. Yeah. So I've been able to kind of identify these talents within other people and have them nurture it, just encourage it. So yeah, I guess enable is the right word.
And how do you identify those skills? Is it something do you think you just naturally have that ability, or is it something that's come over time?
I would say the more you work with them, the more you're able to understand. You just have to be a bit, just have to pay attention a little bit more and analyze a little bit more, be a bit more astute, and just kind of, I think I've always had this kind of, I guess you'd call it a skill. But the more you work with a person and the more you kind of are in situations that are unexpected, you're able to tell, like, okay, this guy can do something much better than me. Yeah. So in the next situation, he's going to be in the forefront, obviously, with my, guidance and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to ask you as well about all the influences you've had on your life. I think from watching philosophy and going through your Instagram and just looking at your story, I can see that there's been a lot of different influences on it. So you've got fashion, culture, shoes, sport. But something I feel that you've spoken about less, and the influence, as far as I can see, and that the influence it's had is actually the oil and gas life. So what do you think you've got from being in oil and gas? What has the industry given you? And maybe what lessons have you taken from oil and gas that you've taken into the creative side? And maybe lessons you've taken from the creative side that have somehow or other helped you in the oil and gas side?
Yeah. So oil and gas, SPETCO in general, this is the company I've been working for since 2011. This company, it's the corporate world. At the end of the day, it's a corporate atmosphere where you have to answer to managers. There are policies, there are procedures. There are, there's politics involved. There's prejudice involved. There's all types of different agendas you have to navigate through. So working in the corporate world, oil and gas in particular, has taught me about structure. It has taught me how to respect rules. Obviously, I learned all about actual policies, that you have to incorporate, procedures. I've learned about, answering to a manager, because, for the longest time, I didn't really have an actual manager. I was able to, and when I say manager, like, my uncle, who's been a mentor for the longest time, he was able to teach me a lot within it. I learned that it's okay to ask stupid questions, because, the learning curve for me is still, I'm very open about not being the most analytical, industrious, technical, methodical speaker or thinker. So again, I've embraced that. And when you embrace something like that, you're able to appreciate the people around you who are brilliant engineers, people great with numbers. These are the people that I've learned with. And again, I acknowledge and I embrace that my brain doesn't really work that way, but we complement each other. So I've learned all of that. And then from the creative side, my value, obviously working in an oil and gas company, there's no design involved. There's no,
it's polar opposites, right? That's why it's so cool. It's couldn't be more polar opposed.
Two worlds, right?
Exactly.
Left brain and right brain.
Yeah.
And, I do have moments like, because of the different industries I work in, one meeting I'll have is, for example, with the NBA. I'm on a call with the NBA. I'm on a call with Nike. I'm on a call with all of these amazing brands. And then in the same day, I'm in the conference room with Schlumberger, with Halliburton. One morning I'm in KOC, and then 4 hours later, I'm on the phone with Foot Locker. You see what I mean? So obviously I have a lot more fun in the other, but then like when I sit with guys from Schlumberger or KOC, I'm learning from these guys too. You know, I'm adding to the other side of my brain. So instead of just saying, I'm never going to be like that, you know, I don't want to be part of that world, I'm able to like, how do I learn from this guy, you know? And from the creative side, the way I've channeled my creativity into SPETCO is, you know, to be a creative, you have to be able to get creative with solving problems. Yeah. You have to be able to come up with solutions. You have to be able to bring in different perspectives. As I would call myself a creative, you know, there are so many different problems, solutions that I've been able to just bring to the table and be like, just relax, you know? Why don't we do it this way? And people just like, well, it's just, you know, you have to take a risk. You literally have to think outside of the box. It may work, it may not. And being, I guess, a creative again, you have to be fearless in your decisions to put down solutions. I don't care about failing. I really don't. Like in the parameters where I can fail. And with that, like, you know, it's all about really acknowledging what your talents are. And just the more you succeed, the more impact you make. That's just that's what inspires me to keep going, to keep driving myself. So that's kind of the crossover.
Yeah. And whether you said the idea of failure and that each success drives you forward, where do you see the line between failure and success? Because I think the line between failure and success isn't actually that far apart, although some people believe it's really far away, you know? Because I think the more you fail, the closer you're getting to the success, right? So
exactly.
How do you look at that?
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, okay, maybe on paper it's an F or it's an L, you know? Like when we bid with KOC, we might not be L1, we might not be the lowest, so technically we lost, right?
Yeah.
How do we avoid that next tender, you know? How do we avoid that failure, that loss? So, you know, I mean, this is cliche to say, but it's not really a loss. It's not really a L. It's actually what you learn from that. So that's really the perspective I have as well. Again, like sometimes I kind of like in a sick way invite the failures.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of invite them in, you know, just like it's a sick way to think like, I hope I lose out on this so I understand how to, you know, like. So there is, you know, there's always a correlation between winning and failing. I think both of them are extremely important.
Yeah, no, and I think the idea you just said is the idea of resistance and discomfort. So actually, one thing I saw a video of you speaking, you said, I enjoy, you, as an artist, you said that you like hitting the brick wall when you kind of have that mind blank and you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting and I resonate with is that you didn't say, I like it or I want it, is I need it.
I need it, yeah.
Because you need it. And I think to most people that if you say to someone, I need to feel discomfort, I need to feel uncomfortable, that to most people feels quite, like you said, kind of a little bit sick, a little bit weird. Yeah. But it's that idea that every time you're in discomfort, you're learning something new. And so talk me through that idea of discomfort, because it's something that I think more people should. We're always taught to take the easy path in life, right?
Yeah.
But actually choosing the harder path, sometimes, I guess, you have that growth.
Yeah.
So how has that manifested itself in your life? How have you used that to your advantage, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I feel like complacency can be a very dangerous thing, you know, to be very comfortable. You know, I'll just give you the example of that talk I think you watched. So, you know, I'll just, so AI, generative artificial intelligence, whether it's in the creative industry or the oil and gas industry, it's able to give you solutions like that, you know, which is great. It's an amazing tool. I use AI almost every day. But what I will not allow myself to use it for is for those things that I really struggled to get there. And once I got there, that reward was just, it was like, I'll get to that point, like, man, all those nights.
Worth it.
So much worth it.
Yeah.
You go to ChatGPT, bro, within like 20 seconds you have some solution that you may have not chosen to conceptualize, but kind of settle for it. The bar gets lowered. Same thing with SPETCO, you know, like, okay, it's kind of a different thing, but I want to kind of find solutions for our client on my own. Like, just pick and choose. And, you know, with AI, like, it'll give you great options, but I need that struggle. I really need it. Going back to the creative side, like, everything I've done up until generative artificial intelligence or open AI, I'm proud of that. I didn't touch AI for that. Nothing. Like, I look at all, like, our drops from the clothing brand I have now, all of the above. None of that was generated from going to ChatGPT and saying, give me an idea for this, or give me an idea for this, or come up with a concept for this. Sacrilegious, creative blasphemy. Cannot. I need to struggle. I need it. I need to hit that wall. It's the only way I actually evolve once I struggle.
Yeah. No, I think that resistance, it's so important, because it just teaches you to go that extra mile, right?
You dig deeper, yeah.
And I think sometimes what keeps you going in those hard moments, you know, like, you know, the reward is there. And I think that's what keeps me going through. Sometimes when you doubt, it's like but you are convinced that the end reward is going to be greater than the pain itself, right?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't have that sense of belief that the reward will be better.
Yeah.
How have you come to a point in life where you have no doubt the reward is going to be greater than the pain?
Yes, I love that question. So, you know, there's the process, right? There's the outcome, but then there's the process. I've learned that through the process, there's always a magical moment. Always. I live for those magical moments.
Do you know when you've hit the magical moment?
I do.
Really?
I don't know when it's coming, but I know when it's there.
Is it?
Yeah.
In the moment, you feel it.
I feel it. This is it.
That's interesting.
This is it. Now, that magical moment, it doesn't mean that the outcome is a win.
Yeah.
It could mean, okay, this is the magical moment where you realize maybe you shouldn't do this. Okay? Yeah. And then there's the magical moment where you're like, breakthrough. This is going to work. So I love those. It's divine intervention. It's serendipity. It's magical. And I love it. And then obviously this goes back to the failure, right?
Yeah, it all goes back to that. Yeah.
It all goes back to, I'm okay with not winning. I'm okay. Obviously, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to move forward. Everybody wants to succeed. But also, to reach that point, you have to also be like, even if I don't get it, I'm okay. You know, I'm going to learn from that L. You know, I'm going to learn from it. So this is really what keeps me going. I'm super curious about what that magical moment is. I'm extremely motivated, whether I win or lose. But once you're set, you just have to keep committed to where you want to go. Yeah.
And how do you keep yourself accountable? Or let me put it another way. Have there been any moments where you've really wanted to give up or stop in your tracks? Can you ever think back to that and maybe what put you through? Or maybe what doesn't allow you to get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, there definitely been times where I just wanted to kind of... Yeah, I'm never comfortable with the word give up.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if you really think of it, it was, let's say, I really wanted to put what I was doing on hold.
That's what I mean, exactly.
Yeah, like, you know, maybe
pause for a second.
On hold forever.
Yeah.
But what kept me going is, let me give it one more shot. You know, if it doesn't work then, you know, or, you know, let me give it 2 more shots, you know, 3 more times. And if it doesn't work, and usually after that second chance, it works. Yeah. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But I'm always like trying to find solutions. But that's only if I believe in it. That's only if I believe in it. Now, I think at you know, I'm 44, so my maturity is I'm much mature than, you know, and emotionally intelligent than I was when I was 35 or even 25. So I'm able to be more decisive on where I want to go, you know. And once I make up my mind on something, nothing can get in my way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the only people who kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say the only, but the only, like, sometimes people put doubts in my head, you know, whether it's family,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I get you exactly.
or friends or colleagues, you know. I just have to block out the noise if I really believe in it, you know, and also I have to kind of like put my ego to the side, you know. So I have to say, like, even if they're right in the long run, I'm okay. It's cool. I'll be like, you were right. You know what I mean? But yeah, those voices every now and then will give me self-doubt. But then you just have to kind of control how long that doubt stays in your mind. You know, we're human. So I do doubt myself, but it just doesn't last long.
Yeah. I think it's having that control over your mind.
Yeah.
You know? And you can, as what we spoke about last week, you can kind of choose to stay looking at this level. You can choose to look up, or you can choose to let that seep into more into your brain and let it affect you. And I want to ask, also something you mentioned last week, what role does delusion play in your life? And also, and to start off, how do you even define it? Because everyone that I speak to delusion about, everyone has a slightly different way to define it. How would you define delusion?
Yeah, so first of all, when we spoke about this offline, I don't know why I said Michael Myers. It was Seth Meyers.
Okay, Seth Meyers. Yeah, okay, yeah.
It was Seth Meyers. So yeah, I mean, look, prior to that interview that I watched, I never saw the word delusional as, you know, it was a negative connotation to the word delusional.
Exactly.
And then I watched that interview, Seth Meyers and J. Cole. And great interview, inspired me a lot, you know, to the point where I have a collection coming out called The Apex of Delusion. Yeah. So he talks about just believing in yourself so much that you reach a stage of just people are going to think you're absolutely crazy, delusional, out of your mind. And then he says, once you reach that stage and people perceive you as that type of delusion, you go a level higher and then higher and then higher. So that really stuck with me. And also, you know, when he kept saying level higher and level higher, level higher, I thought of Maslow's hierarchy. I don't know if you... So Maslow was I guess you could call him a psychologist, but I learned about this in business school. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it's a triangle. It's a pyramid.
Okay.
And then you have levels. So you have physiological needs like food. Then you have the needs where you need shelter, you know, you need security, you know, you need a job, you need love, you need emotional needs. So and then at the very, very end, there are people who are self-actualized. The only need for them is to beat their last accomplishment. That's all they need. Yep. They don't need food. They don't need shelter. They don't need love. They just want to be able to beat their last accomplishment.
Yeah, go one step further, right?
That's it. Like for me, everything I do, like I'm self-actualized. That very tip of the pyramid, I'm above it. And that's what I believe. I'm delusional like that. I'm so self-actualized, like it's a bit scary. So people might be hearing this and just thinking he's actually delusional. You know?
Yeah.
To me, I need to be this way. I really need to be this way. Someone asked me, like, family member, she asked me, I think it was 2 weeks ago, she asked me, what kind of artist would you describe yourself, you know? I said, I mean, I can't paint, you know? I don't know how to sketch, never learned how to do anything, you know? If anything, I probably got bad grades in art class. I build art installations. Okay, I know how to splatter. I'm learning how to do like different methods. But then, you know, I'm able to do basic designs on the merch, you know? But then I told her, I was like, if I were to describe myself, what kind of artist? And I looked her right in the eye and I said, I am the greatest artist to ever step on planet Earth. I said, no, I really think I'm the greatest artist of all time. The world just doesn't know it yet. Warhol, Virgil, Da Vinci,
Yeah.
Rousseau, Basquiat. I'm at that level. I'm at the same table. That's how confident I am in my ability. So that's the apex of delusional, right?
Yeah. I think it's that idea, it's like not who you are now, but who you can be.
Yeah.
That's how I look at delusion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about, because I think when you speak like that, people say that they think you're like egotistical, that you're overconfident, but actually it's not an overconfidence in who you are now, but in who you believe you can become.
Yeah.
And then it's that process that kind of, that you believe in, and you think there's nothing, if you just work and just keep going, there's nothing that can really, I guess, stop you, right?
Exactly. And, you know, it's okay to be delusional and not have an ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay to be delusional. And when you make a mistake, you step back and say, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that good.
Yeah.
I'm not that great. I shouldn't be at this table. But at the same time, I believe in my abilities so much when it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
You know, like anything art related or conceptual, I believe I'm the best. You know, I'm in that category.
Yeah.
And delusional or not, it's where I see myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, right? It's how you see yourself, no matter how other people see you and your skills. And actually, something I've done over the past, I wouldn't say on purpose, but subconsciously, I've realized that not many people think this way. It's like, from my experience, I've met that people that have this kind of delusional mindset, or think of delusion in this sense. And something I did was kind of like go back and in hindsight think, what moments can I look back to in my life that I think laid the groundwork for that way of thinking? Even if at the moment, even at the time, those experiences seemed kind of irrelevant, like really small experiences that I remember. But why do I remember them? Because I feel, in my own experience, I feel like things I remember looking back in hindsight, which is also a nice thing, have like laid the groundwork. So I kind of want to challenge you to go back and think of what three moments or three experiences that you think, looking back, and you're like, that probably was important to building who I am, you know, and building this, particularly this mindset. That's probably a tough question, but
a few come to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of a good way to frame them.
Yeah.
So when it comes to my, I guess, artistic or creative abilities and gifts, there was a specific story that gave me the ultimate confidence, and which really led to my belief in me being the greatest artist of all time. So I had a dream, okay? It was a very vivid dream. And it was around the same time I was reading a lot about the Palestinian cause, whether it be the culture or the resistance or just the history of Palestine in general. I was reading a lot about it. At the same time, I was spending a lot of time with my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother was very big into the arts. She pushed Palestinian culture a lot. So I had this vision of a giant slingshot.
Mm-hmm. I've seen this.
Like humongous, but wrapped in Palestinian embroidery. So the slingshot represented resistance, and the embroidery around the handle represented culture.
Yeah.
I dreamt of that. And I woke up, I went to my grandmother, I said, Teta, you have to help me. She said, what is it? I told her. She's like, you're delusional.
Yeah.
Okay. She helped me find a group of ladies who actually knitted this piece of embroidery, 1.2 million stitches.
By hand, I assume.
By hand. This was during COVID, so this took about 6 months to do. It would have taken less, but it was a huge process. And then at the same time, it's trial and error at the carpenters, right? How am I going to actually engineer this, make it stand, make it functional?
Yeah.
Long story short, the Guinness Book of World Records, the biggest slingshot in the world stands at 4.6 meters. Our two guys in Norway did it. The slingshot that I have in my containers in Kebt with the 1.2 2 million stitches in Palestinian embroidery that are wrapped around the handle. Stands at 6 meters. So through a vision, I was able to create the biggest slingshot in the world. This slingshot has been displayed at CAP, which is the contemporary art platform. It has been displayed at universities. It has been covered by world-renowned cultural publications. I did it. I literally brought a vision I manifested it. Where it came from, I have no clue where that vision came from. I just knew I had to do it. So that installation really opened up the doors for me, not just in the art world, but like, you know, I still talk about that as like the gates.
Yeah.
That really. So I think that's the main one. Then there are, you know, the small wins that actually make me realize that, you know, things are meant to be. You know, things are meant to be. I mean, I could talk about so many different things. For example, you know, going back to basketball, I'm a big Kyrie Irving fan. When I started the clothing brand, I learned, you know, we made a lot of mistakes. We weren't sure how to like get to certain celebrities or artists. Kyrie Irving, to me, like, you know, to me, there's Jordan, there's Kobe, and there's Kyrie. And Kyrie, I say Kyrie because it's what he represents off the court as well. And if I were to pick one athlete who would wear my brand, I'd pick him over Messi. I'd pick him over Ronaldo. I pick him over LeBron. That's how much I respect the guy. We found his address. Okay, don't ask how. Well, that's another story on its own. We found his address, prepared a package for him. Shot in the dark, you know. I did a custom basketball through a painting, customized a jacket for him, sent it. It wasn't even his address. It was his cousin's address.
Okay.
3 months passed, 4 months passed. You know, I'm always checking the account. Nothing. Oh my God. Whether he gets it or not, he gets it.
Yeah.
2024, Western Conference Finals, Game 6. He's walking down the tunnel. You know, NBA players have the tunnel fit. And football, you know, they come with from the bus. Yeah. He's wearing one of our jackets.
You knew he was going to be wearing it?
No clue.
And you were there watching?
We were watching. Like, you know, it was the game, like we watched, I was paying attention to the game to the day after the game. And, you know, usually they walk through this tunnel. And he's wearing our jacket. He's wearing the jacket I customized, you know, with my own hands.
So I've seen this story before, but I didn't realize you had no idea that he was going to walk out with
No clue. We had no idea he was going to wear it. We knew we sent him a package, but we had no idea if he received it, if he liked it. And he's wearing it. And he's wearing a piece that I thought I shouldn't have sent because I smudged it. You know, it was a bit crooked, bit low. He wore it. So, and we were, a year and a half into the brand. And, you know, starting a clothing brand, I had doubts as well because some drops we'd sell a lot, some we wouldn't. But then when I saw that, that was the magical moment. You know, that was the magical moment. So that's another thing that just gave me more confidence. Did you ask for 3 or 2?
No, 2's good.
Okay.
No, it's that idea of shooting in the dark. You know, there's no replacement for shooting and seeing what happens.
Yeah,
because you never know when the return is going to be. It might be in a month's time. It might be 10 years down the road.
Yeah, of course. And I've learned, like, you know, whether you make an impact or not, or if you're, you know, when you just like plant the seed, you know that the human brain will always register it, or something will come back. So whether he received it or not, the person we sent to his cousin, you know, like, oh, well, that Middle Eastern brand in Kuwait, maybe we should, you know. So, but he ended up wearing it.
Yeah.
He followed me on Instagram. He followed the brand on Instagram. So that was a huge win for us. And another moment, like, I think we're on the right track. Yeah. You know.
And in terms of building that confidence as well, I always think about the idea of, I mentioned iterating and repetition. And I think in order to build confidence, you kind of need evidence, right? I always think it's a mixture of evidence and repetition, because then once you provide yourself with evidence that you can do it, you then try again, and then you'll prove yourself right again, and you'll do it again.
Of course.
So how it's kind of similar to what you were, and it is until and then that belief almost becomes, like you said before, kind of unconscious. It just becomes, it's just there. How would you describe that feeling of having kind of that unconscious belief, or just through that repetition or evidence? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. It's what keeps me going, you know, just being hungry. Like, how's my win? How's the feeling going to be different from my last win?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how, like, it's different each time.
Yeah.
You know, whether you win or you lose. And I'm just extremely curious to how that feeling is, you know, whether it's good or bad. So yeah, subconsciously, I don't know. I keep going because I'm curious to know what I'm gonna learn from my next accomplishment, or my next, you know, not so big accomplishment.
Yeah. And what's your relationship like with uncertainty? How do you look at uncertainty, and how do you think other people should look at uncertainty?
I welcome it.
Mm-hmm.
I really welcome it. Yes, you know, depending on where you are in your life, it's hard to take risks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the word risk gets thrown out a lot. You know, just take risks. Take risks.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I'm at 44. My risks are a lot higher now because I have kids, and you know,
Of course, yeah.
At 24, my risks aren't. You know, I'm less risk aversive, right? I'm able to take more risks.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm talking about risks because the uncertainty, right? On the other side of being a risky person. But uncertainty is really is something I've grown from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not knowing what's on the other side. So I welcome it.
Mm-hmm. And I think with that uncertainty is what you mentioned before about sometimes people close to you can like put in that seed of doubt.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And so I kind of wanted to ask you about, you have, obviously, of course, when you're going through the maybe beginning stages like I am at the moment, you have to learn to just keep going, even though you're the only person that kind of sees the vision. But how important is it over time to then get people on board with that vision? Because, for example, for me, like I've been telling my mum for like 3 years, this is what's going to happen, right? This is the level we're going to get to. And at the beginning, she'd be like, yeah, okay, I love you, whatever happens, I love you, right? But it's the last, since I started this, and, you know, I felt like a switch in her. Like she's kind of like joined the team.
Okay.
In a really like subtle way. Whereas if I told her a year ago, I'm going to spend X £1,000 on getting a podcast studio, she would have been like, mate, like just keep it, you know?
Yeah.
But now she's like, go for it. What you got to lose, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like that feeling, because sometimes it can be quite lonely, right?
Yeah.
That when you're the only person that kind of believes in it.
Yeah.
But now that I feel like I've got someone who's like kind of like put their foot half in, it feels good, you know?
Yeah.
So, and something you said last week when we spoke about, you said that kind of your wife, or like I said as well, my ex thought we're too deep, you know?
Yeah.
And so I guess that's that seed of doubt.
Yes.
So how do you look at that idea of keeping out the noise, but then kind of getting people on board as well at some point?
Yeah. So my biggest critics are family members.
Yeah.
My biggest critics, and when I say critics, the people who unintentionally put doubt in my mind the most
Yes.
are the people who care about me the most.
Yes.
My family.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this goes back to being self-actualized.
Mm-hmm.
As important as money is, and sustaining a business and financials, obviously you have to be financially capable to start a business, to provide. In my world, money doesn't motivate me. 99% of the people I know directly link success to money. Starting off, a lot of what I was doing wasn't generating income.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people in my family didn't see it as a success.
Mm-hmm.
Try explaining that you live on top of Maslow's hierarchy and apex of delusion, and that doesn't drive me to older members of your family.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. When they got on board, and I think maybe this is the same thing from your mom, is when they understood this is what makes you happy. This is why you're moving, why your engine is going. Yeah. When they realize that, there's no controlling it. This is what makes him happy. As long as he's not gonna be broke, you know, it's fine. So I think did that answer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it's really difficult, honestly. Like you know, again, it all goes back to the people who know me best, who are within my circle, and it usually comes to the financials. You know, like, what are you doing? You know, you're wasting your money. You're not generating income. I need to execute this vision. I need, whether I lose money or not, it has to happen. It has to happen. So I guess that's the gift and curse, right? Of being self-actualized.
Yeah, I guess the idea of, from what we're talking about here, is that we're looking here and everyone else is looking at the short term, you know? So I think it's having that ability to think longer term and of what is going to come. Yeah. And I guess that's where the delusion and the belief comes in, you know? Because I always think it's like, it's always said at the beginning, if you believe the reward is going to be greater than the initial pain, then you're going to keep going. I always have the example of, like, there's a mountain range here, I'm here, the success is here. You just have to keep going up and down the mountains, and you might get up the third one, and you might have one more left to go before you get to the success, but you might have 10 more to go. Yeah. So you don't know where you are in the process. And it's like you have to believe it. You have to believe it's there, waiting at some point. Yeah. You know. Yeah. I think. I think it's a healthy way to live. I think for me, I find it a logical way to live, but other people don't. Yeah. Because there's no evidence that it's there, but I believe it's there. Yeah. Do you think the way you think and the way you live your life is logical?
Yes. It's the only way to live. It's the only way to live. You know, the only logic you should care about is your own logic. You know, as long as you're not disrespecting anyone or hurting anyone, and your intention is pure, that's, you know, you're on the right path, man.
Yeah. Nan, talk to me as well about the defining principles of out the box of your life, and no skill set, no free ideas, non-compete. I feel like we've kind of mentioned all these three through the conversation. We haven't tackled them directly. So kind of take the people listening through what those things mean to you and where they come from. Yeah.
So, you know, no skill set. We talked about that. You know, never was the best student, but I've been able to do what I've done in my life through embracing my inabilities, let's say them, and involving the right people around me. I always look at guys like Steve Jobs, you know. He wasn't a programmer. He dropped out of college, and now is $3 trillion company, right? So I see him as the ultimate visionary, you know. So no skill set is kind of like what kept me delusional, right? Like I'm good. I'm all right. You know, bad grades, they're pasted all over the wall there.
We'll take some photos of that.
So no skill set really has resonated with a lot of people who weren't the best students, you know. Again, to go back, I would really focus on what I was good at and acknowledge where I had to go. I didn't do it, but I'm okay. So non-compete is another. So there's no skill set, non-compete, and no free ideas.
No, so I got them in the wrong order.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, so non-compete is more like, maybe I could use this as an example for you're starting your new podcast, right? At some stage, you know, and I believe this podcast is going somewhere, you know, you're going to be around other podcasters who are well established, who have made a name for themselves, who've made a lot of money doing the same thing what you're trying to do now. You're going to, at some stage, feel like they see you as competition. They see you as a threat. They lock that gate, you know, they become those gatekeepers. Yeah. I faced that in SPETCO. I faced that when I first started my creative agency, when I was rubbing shoulders with other creative agencies. and I sure as hell faced it with my clothing brand. You know, being around all these competitors. To me, I don't care about competition because I know where I'm going. I know where I'm going. I'm here to create. I'm here to collaborate. I'm not here to compete. You know, so the whole non-compete thing is like, just leave me alone. Don't be scared. I'm fine. Let's collaborate. Let's unify. Unfortunately, that's not the mindset of everyone. So non-compete is a philosophy where it's just basically like, you know, you don't need to compete with anyone. Just stay in your lane and keep going. If you don't want to compete, it's game over, though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's another thing. No free ideas directly linked to me starting my creative agency.
Yeah.
So, you know, on Instagram, I started the whole sneaker thing from 2014 to 2019. I worked with all these amazing brands, but I was like, you know, they send me some shoes. I do a campaign for them, put an outfit together, do some like really creative videos for the shoe itself, whether I'm working for a car company or a sneaker company or a fashion company. They want an amplification, you know, of their product, of their service. Then I realized like they were tapping into my creativity, you know. They wanted free ideas from me, you know. Let me pick your brain. Let me do this. What do you think about this? And I said, it's time for me to legally register a fully operational creative agency, and this is OTB. And this is where I came up with the, you know, no free ideas. You know, when you come to us, as you know, as I consider myself a creative, we have to brainstorm, we have to hit those walls, we have to, you know, go through that stress, that anxiety, give you that brilliant idea. You're taking up some of my time, right? So I can't give you those ideas for free. So this is another way of like empowering people who don't really value themselves. Like, no, like you have a talent, you know, don't give it out for free, whether it's you're creative or not. Know your worth.
Yeah, is that? I think that links back to something that I was thinking about yesterday. Actually, when you did the film screening here, I won one of those things over there, the stickers, from the ball.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that's called.
The claw machine.
Yeah, exactly, the claw machine. And one of them on there was, what's your story?
Yeah.
And the idea of valuing yourself, I think, is super, super interesting and super valuable, because I think a lot of people don't know how to see their own uniqueness in their own story. Yeah. Even if you think you're not unique at all, that there's something about you that 100% is. Yeah. And it's about finding it and then leveraging it. Yeah. You know, how do you encourage people to? Because obviously you found that, and it seems to what I'm saying when you're talking about vision, you're talking about all these different things. It feels like the basis of you've managed to find your uniqueness and build and build and build and build delusionally on top of it, just and keep iterating. Kind of, how can someone find that sense of uniqueness and I guess that sense of self and worth, I guess.
Yeah. So you'll notice that these walls up there are completely white. Yeah. You know, so the plan was to put the big OTB logo there, and then the AOTA logo, so the agency logo, and the clothing brand logo. Okay. Huge, 3.5 meters. Then you have that, which is about 4 meters. Yeah. So I was going back and forth on what I really wanted to add up there. Yeah. And then I realized it's probably one of my favorite quotes that I coined. It's, your story is your superpower. And that's what I'm going to have there in 4 meters stickers. So realizing that your story isn't just unique or authentic, it's an actual superpower. Nobody has it. You just have to be able to tell it. So that's another thing, like, like it's delusional to think that your own story is a superpower, but no one has your story. Yeah, that's true. No one can learn from your story. You just have to think that way. Telling your story is extremely, extremely important, but the first thing you need to do is acknowledge how special your story is.
I think a lot of people are scared these days of telling their story or putting themselves out there because of, like you said, what is my friend going to think? What are my parents going to think? How can people just step out of that? It's just kind of it's all we go back to it being a choice, right? It's a choice of how, I guess, do you care about what other people are going to say? You know? So how obviously you've taken that choice to put your story out there and use that. What's your advice to people wanting to do it but maybe don't have the kind of confidence to do it?
I've learned, because I'm on social media,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on social media for 11 years. I put out countless projects.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them changed perspectives. A lot of them received a lot of praise. A lot of them, I would say, kind of low-key changed lives. Some of them had the entire country talking. Some of them had the entire region talking. But the majority of them didn't do well.
Yeah.
And, in all transparencies, the ones that I thought were going to do really well and then do well, yeah, it got to me. Like, man, how did this not resonate with people?
Mm-hmm.
How did it not resonate? And then it'll happen more and more and more and more and more and more. And then I realized it's really not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, people actually really don't care about you, Like, they'll say, oh, this was kind of whack, and then they'll move on, honestly. Like it's just a moment for them. For you, yeah, like, I put on all this work and blah, blah, blah. But if you actually care about what other people think, it takes about a day for them to forget about it.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't matter to them, unless they really don't like you and they hold it to you, like, but so if you really care about the perception of other people, you have to realize that they actually don't care that much. But then you have to go back to, like, if you're really doing it with pure intention and being a bit selfish and doing it just for yourself, to see it out in the open and in the universe and saying, I actually did that, that's all that really matters, honestly.
Yeah. No, and I think I was trying to think about how to, like, link your philosophies back to oil and gas and energy. And the non-compete, I think, was quite interesting, because I think we live in a world now where we're in a narrative of competition, of us versus them, in terms of oil and gas versus everything else. So I kind of wanted to get your take on how someone, maybe, for example, from the UK, like I am, or from Spain, from the West, should look at the energy transition through the lens of someone from Kuwait, where 90% of, I think, revenues in this country, 80-90% come from oil and gas, right?
Yeah.
And it's that idea that we're in the ecosystem of energy we're living in at the moment isn't us versus them. It's we need everyone working together, oil and gas, renewables, everything. So I want to kind of get your take on how, from a Kuwaiti perspective, you look at the future of energy and how people should look at it.
Yeah, I mean, energy really, it's everything, and for Kuwait in specific, it's what drives the economy. And then obviously there's energy. The energy sector gets a bad rap because of the environmental challenges. For me, for all of the environmental challenges, the bad perceptions about energy itself, I feel like if you work within the parameters of how to run a good business, of how to not be such a company that pollutes the environment, innovation plays a huge key, keeping up with technology also. I feel like, those are things that you really need to be mindful of before realizing how much value you add to the oil and gas sector. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
were you touching on something else?
No, I just want to, part of the reason I want to do this podcast is to kind of tell the stories of the people that are in energy, and also kind of change the narrative around it, because I think people don't have the knowledge around the industry and understand why oil and gas is still so important. And for example, like, Kuwait lives off oil and gas, and of course it's trying to diversify. So I just want to give people a bit of an insight into that,
Yeah, I mean, oil and gas, I mean, energy, we're all hospitals are built on energy, we need hospitals, schools, cars. So these are things that the country can't run without energy. And, in Kuwait, it's easy to take advantage of all of this energy because everything's subsidized as well.
Mm-hmm.
But, oil and gas companies, we're really what, I don't see SPETCO really as a contractor. I see us as a strategic partner
Mm-hmm.
for KOC. we're directly adding to the country's well-being when it comes to the GDP, the you know, how they flourish within the region.
Yeah. No, I think that's something people don't always understand, and gets lost within the narrative, and something I want to change. And I've got 2 more questions. And my colleague bought me this book a couple of weeks ago. Carpe Diem, seize the day. So I want to try something new. I want you to take the book, open it up. Wait, this is the first time I'm trying it, so we're going to see if this works, and if not, we'll see. I want you to open the book. There's 2 quotes on each side, and kind of open it until you find a quote you like, and then talk me through it why you chose it.
Okay.
I might have to get up.
So I have to choose it.
Yeah. So you'll open
It's
it.
not
up.
a random one.
No. So So you open it random, and then if you like one of the 2, pick one on each side.
Oh, okay. So there's one
2.
on each side.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm picking one.
Yeah. So open the book.
All right. Let's go.
I'm not sure this is going to work, but we'll see.
Okay. Do you want to hear both of them?
No, just the one you choose.
Okay. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing. I have to read you the other one because it's a no-brainer why I picked this one. The other one was, life is sweet, take a big bite.
Okay.
No, good.
Okay.
So life is either a daring adventure or nothing, obviously. Yeah, I think this covers a lot of what we spoke of. Uncertainty, you know. I do believe in seeing it as a daring adventure. Just be confident. Yeah, and look at life as you know, just this is this can turn into a philosophy conversation, but it really goes, like, for me, this really goes down to like what keeps me going, you know, as head of SPETCO.
Mm-hmm.
And what keeps me going as an artist, as a creative director, as a father.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take SPETCO for example. Like, you know, my responsibility as a CEO, as a leader, is to kind of add to the livelihood of 2,000 employees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm responsible for putting food on the table for 2,000 people,
mm-hmm.
and with them, they have families. So for me to be able to understand that this is my responsibility and I keep doing it, this is really what keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
That impact,
yeah.
knowing that I'm able to help.
Yeah.
With the creative agency, you know, joy comes to me when I put out my ideas, and whether it's in the comment section or someone telling me at an event that really hit home,
mm-hmm.
that's also what keeps me going. In order to get to those stages in life,
mm-hmm.
You'll go through some adventures, really.
Yeah, ties right back in, right?
Yeah, you'll go through some adventures. Enjoy them while they last. Obviously, in adventures, there's going to be a lot of risk. You're going to fall. You're going to be surprised by a lot. They're going to be good times, bad times. But at the end of the day, I think an adventure is what you need to see, you know, in your life, and you know, see it as a way to get where you want to go. See it as an adventure.
Yeah. And my final question is for you to, at the end of every interview, I ask the guests to ask a question to the audience to help them reflect on the conversation. So if you had to leave one question for everyone listening, what would it be?
I would ask them to ask themselves what in their story, their personal story, would inspire others.
And why?
Because it's their superpower. And once they realize that, they're set for life.
Love it. No, Tareq, thank you so much for allowing me to set up here today. I think, like I said, my first interview with The Energy, it was in your office, and we came in here and you started explaining some of your ideas. And in that moment, I thought, like, one day we would have a good conversation. I didn't necessarily know there would be like 3 cameras and a couple of people listening and watching. But I've enjoyed it a lot, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I hope this isn't the last time. I really appreciate it.
No, we'll do it again, 100%.
Of course. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.